Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of Car Talk with Wally, and today we are at the North American Battery Show in Novi, Michigan. And this particular show is not just a showcase of the electric vehicle technology, it's also a showcase of the different componentry that add to the infrastructure of the electric vehicle business. So we are going to take a look at all of the different vendors and companies that add to the electric vehicle space, but also the different talks and discussions that really push the needle forward in this particular space. So hopefully you enjoy all that we have in store for today.
To watch this. I think this is my 9th year being the chairman of this conference, and each year we've seen it grow. The last time I think we were over 9,000 people that attended both the exhibition and the conference combined. Now let's talk about a few personal notes from the chair. Certainly after returning from China for 7.5 years, I saw some amazing things in China. The growth over there was phenomenal. A lot of people have got it wrong. They don't copy everybody else's technology. In fact, being the CTO of the world's largest battery company, I saw some phenomenal breakthroughs in technology I didn't even think were possible. We'll talk about a few of those kind of scattered throughout the presentation. But now that I'm back, I'm helping a lot of different companies work on their new technology and improving on it. So I do that through a consulting agency called Gallion Energy. I couldn't be too creative, so I came up with 2 easy words, my last name and energy, so it worked well. But I spend a lot of time working with NatBat International. I have a real passion for this organization because NatBat International brings together many different aspects of business as well as technology. And I hand it to Jim Greenberger and the staff at NatBat for doing a marvelous job of help leading the industry from a professional trade association standpoint. But I also spend a tremendous amount of time working with SA International. We now have 25 different committees that report under my steering committee. It's a lot of work, but it's a passion for the industry. We need to drive better standards, and new technology keeps changing those standards, so we need to put a lot more effort into standardization for the future of mankind. And electrification is taking the world by storm. There's hardly an aspect of the economies of any country around the world that are not impacted by electrification in one way, shape, or form. We've seen so much happen over the last few years. One of the last things I did before coming back from China, I went to Liaodong, which is the 19th largest heavy equipment manufacturer in the world, and got to drive a 22-ton backhoe, a 12-ton backhoe, and a 20-ton excavator. It's just amazing what we can electrify these days. So we also have seen a big technology revolution happening over the last few years, and I'm going to talk about just a few of those. First and foremost is chemistry. I don't care if you're working in lithium, lead, nickel, there's a lot of things going on in the chemistry revolution because we're learning more and more about surface chemistries, interactions, molecular orbital theory is being applied by battery companies just like you would if you were in Eli Lilly making drugs for a company, for people to take for medications. So the chemistry world is just expanding rapidly. The second key area is materials technology.
Hi, good morning everyone. My name is Walter Scott Williams. I am the founder and CEO of Kinetic Solutions. We are an automotive media and consulting company. My question is for both of you. You both mentioned that the US is a bit behind the scale when it comes to battery development and technology. And just educating ourselves about this technology. So what can we do in the government sector and private sector to bridge that gap in our education system and to really align our workforce in the future to make sure that we are one of the leaders in this technology in the future?
Well, from an industrial standpoint and an academic standpoint, I participate on 2 different academic boards. I'm disappointed in both, because I don't think we're moving fast enough in our industry to educate and train people specifically in the field of battery technology. When we have people sitting on the other side of the planet in the Asia Pacific Rim, they're doing molecular orbital structure theories to identify new battery chemistries. If you look back less than 3 weeks ago, there was a major announcement about sodium-ion batteries and a manufacturing capability within the next 2 to 3 years. It clearly demonstrates there's other societies around the world that are ahead of us in their educational endeavors to make people that know how to make these kind of battery technologies. So I'm disappointed in our educational system that we're not educating our people in the right way at the right speed. We need to accelerate that. I think Dave and I kind of share that common theme that we need to figure out how to get our academic people to step up to that. But we as industry also need to embrace that. And the one thing that I did learn out of working in China, it's about the ability to apply the knowledge that you learn in academia. It's the hands-on experience. So it's up to people sitting in this room, and Dave, I estimate there's probably 350 people in this room that are the thought leaders in the battery industry. We need to embrace that by grabbing people out of academia while they're going through school and train them how to apply these technologies with hands-on experience. So your comments, Dave.
Yeah, let me just add to that. You know, I don't see that we're behind in technology and innovation. However, if we don't do something, we will be. And you know, we've been developing battery technology for quite a while here, and we do see that battery technology making it into the market. Most of the time, it's into other markets than the United States. So, you know, that's disconcerting. And we do see that a lot of the major sort of brains abroad were actually taught here. Okay, so it's not that we can't do it. And so the question you ask is really important. It's more than just some education in our universities too. You know, it's the know-how at the technician level, the engineering level. It's the know-how on the chemical processing level. So it cuts across, again, the entire value chain. And so we're trying to develop some plans for the federal government and how we can support that training and education process across the entire value chain. But really, the big player is industry, as Bob said. Industry really needs to step up to the plate here and drive the ship when it comes to workforce training.
And I would like one more comment on that. We had, I had a very interesting comment from the president of Purdue University, one of the leading engineering schools in the country. He wants more involvement from industry to help give his students and his faculty more guidance in what they need to be learning. So one of the first things I did when I came back from China was go to Purdue University and give a lecture to the faculty and the students that were working on electrification. And that's the kind of thing that we all need to be doing.
My name is Tammy, and I'm with Philatronwireandcable. We're an electric cable manufacturer. We produce a solid copper rod, and we draw down to fine stranding. So we can draw down to a super fine stranding if you need a flexible cable. And then we do a more coarse stranding.
So you do like customized solutions?
Correct.
Oh, wow.
We do custom engineering solutions, so we can help with materials, temperatures, and flexibility. So these are DC charging cables for electric vehicles. This we manufactured for General Motors, the GM Volt. And this was an ICC ID connector. It came stock in your car. We manufactured these for Ford Motors, and we did the injection molding. Inside of this is a thermistor, and the thermistor detects heat. So if it overheats, it actually turns off.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if you recall, but a few years back they were having problems with overheating.
Yeah.
We manufactured this for Mercedes-Benz, which is a really nice solution, so you don't have to wind up your cord. On one end was your J1772 plug that goes directly into your car. This part went into the ICC ID connector and into your wall. So this one was stock in Mercedes-Benz, and it's kind of nice because you don't get dirty from it.
Yeah.
So this is a charging cable that we do for the unmanned drones, the Predator and the Gray Eagle. And this is compression molding, and we did this in-house as well. And then of course the coil, we do this in-house. And we have excellent retractile memory on our coil. And that's about it. Oh, this is another one that I really like. So we're DOT certified, Department of Transportation, and this we've done for the Sacramento Drawbridge.
Kevin Bowden. I'm the sales manager at Dana, and I'm responsible for sealing products and thermal products. All things cooling, all things engine and transmission sealing, and we're big into electrification with our thermal products. And beyond that, we do many things. We do driveline products, axles.
Yeah, I know you guys are
drive
really
shaft.
big, well known for like mechanical drive lines.
Yes.
But now you're more in electrification now?
Yes, yes. That is the next frontier.
Nice.
The traditional is still in development and still here to stay for quite some time. Electrification is that next frontier. It's been, I mean, it's very exciting to watch this whole transformation take place, and I hope that young kids today can embrace that and seek electrical engineering type or electronics engineering type educations, because there will be a huge need for people like that,
Definitely.
as this whole market continues to explode around the world.
Yes, yes. Anything you would like to say about your latest product?
I'm just excited that we are part of the market growth. We're given great opportunities to partner up with our OE customers to provide solutions for what they need. And for battery cooling, for example, is a big growth area for us. And obviously, you just look around this room. I don't think I've been to a show like this with this many suppliers before. So
It's amazing.
yeah, so there's a lot going on. There's a lot of excitement.
Hi, my name is Wayne Tasinski. I'm the senior manager at Navistar Next E-Mobility. We're located out in Rochester Hills, Michigan. And what you see before you is one of our buses that we're selling to school systems. There is 3 different battery configurations that it's available with. It's available with 105, 210, or 315 kilowatt hour battery pack. So the range is it's probably on there, so you might want to go off the numbers that are written down, but it's between 70 and 200 miles. Again, that depends on the duty cycle and the temperature and stuff like that.
Awesome,
So,
awesome.
Yeah.
And so this is already deployed on like the marketplace, like
yes,
school
so
districts can actually purchase this
yes.
bus now?
Yep.
Wow.
I'm not sure if this particular bus, but one of the buses that we have logged quite a few miles in California. They drove through, I think it was like 25 or so different school districts that got to try it out and check it out. And there's other school systems that have looked at it also. In the Rochester Hills facility that we have, there is a showroom there, so if a customer is interested, they can schedule an appointment and come in and take a look at the products and services that we offer.
Awesome. And so if I'm a school district and I'm looking to purchase one of these buses, what type of support system is available when it comes to maintenance, but also if we look at charging up the buses at, I don't know, one of the locations where they store it, for the night, or what?
Yeah.
Is there some sort of support system?
Yeah, so the support information you might want to talk to our business director about. But however, since it's an EV, there's very little in terms of maintenance that needs to be done. It has very strong regenerative braking, so when you're slowing down, you're not using as much brakes. It doesn't have any need for oil changes or anything like that, so it's relatively maintenance free. In terms of what was the other question that you had? The second part
Like
of it?
the charging.
Okay, yeah.
If you
So
need
the,
to
so
charge
the
it
charging,
at night or something
right.
like that.
So there would be stations that would be installed at the customer's location. They can also actually charge this on AC, but it'll take a long time.
Okay.
So you definitely want to install some chargers at the location where it's parked overnight. And that's the nice thing about school buses is their route is very defined. You know, they're basically at the same spot every night, so it's very easy to charge them, and you know, you don't have to worry about range anxiety or anything like that.
Awesome.
Since the customer can, you know, purchase the amount of energy that they want in terms of the battery pack when they come in and talk to us. So if they have, you know, a 100-mile route, you know, they can purchase an appropriate amount of battery for that route.
Awesome.
And,
My name is Vivek Patil. I'm with a nonprofit called Ascent Virginia. I am the executive director, and we are part of a group of folks, a stakeholder group that is actually part of this project here. It's called Energy Storage and Electrification Manufacturing.
Nice.
And what we're trying to do is Southwest Virginia is a region that's very rich in energy and coal production, as you know, and manufacturing.
Yeah.
And as you know, as the coal economy is sort of winding down, we're trying to transform the region into new kinds of technology. So electrification, energy storage. And so we hope that our region will make the batteries, the electric charging stations that'll go into a car, you know, in Europe, in a solar farm in South America. We want us to be the manufacturer of some of those technologies.
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to do here is meet with people and find out what people are doing and what their manufacturing needs might be and make some connections.
Yeah.
Because we have incentives, we have talent, and we have manufacturing opportunities.
Wow, so do you have manufacturing infrastructure in place?
Yes.
Listen
Yes.
to what someone needs and
Exactly,
put something together.
exactly. We can, and I think we have at this point, this grant, we have a grant from Go Virginia, and what we're doing it in a very thoughtful way. We are starting with 4 companies. So these 4 companies, one of them, I'll tell you the story of a company called Lawrence Brothers really quickly. Lawrence Brothers Manufacturing, LBI, had a family manufacturing company that made battery casings for coal mining equipment. We've transitioned that technology, or they've transitioned that technology from going from battery casings for mining to forklifts that have been used in warehousing. And now we're moving them towards aviation sector electric vehicles. Do you know what I mean? So they're building the accessories that go into EVs, right? We don't think that we're gonna suddenly start manufacturing, you know, large batteries like Tesla,
Yeah.
but there's a huge supply chain around those products that we
Right.
wanna go. Like charging stations,
Right.
the casings, the transformers, we can do that. So we are doing this in a small way with a pilot of 4 companies. As we learn through this experience, make some connections, have them diversify their manufacturing, we want to use this as a model to scale to other manufacturers in the region, right? So it's an there are financial incentives, training, workforce, tax incentives for companies to manufacture locally, all of that. So we're creating a whole ecosystem to become a manufacturing powerhouse.
We have over 600 units deployed all over the U.S., Canada, Alaska, and Hawaii. So Rhombus is manufactured right here in
Yes.
Dearborn, Michigan, but we
Okay.
also white label for other customers. So maybe
So companies like Proterra, Nuvi, those are customers.
that's our customers.
So you'll see our charges with their branding.
Yeah. Yeah. Right, and these are level 3 chargers, so they're super fast DC chargers. That means that they can charge your Mach-E, your Audi e-tron, your fleet buses in about 3 hours, which is a very compressed time to
Yeah.
get those vehicles out on the road.
And we have, rather than having an integrated charger technology, we have what we call remote dispensers. So what we have is, if you think about fleets, right, you may have a parking lot with 100 vehicles in it, big vehicles, like buses, things like that. So the dispensers are what actually sit next to the vehicles. And so the idea is to make those as small as possible footprint-wise, so they don't take up a lot of parking space, right? And then we have units like this. This is our 60 kilowatt. This does the AC to DC conversion. And that power goes through a cable, typically underground, underneath the parking lot, to the dispenser.
So think of that as your power pusher,
Yes.
right? When you pull into a gas station, you don't see the tanks under the ground.
Right.
That's what that
This
big
is like the
DCS
tank.
is.
It's not a great analogy, but it's about as good as one as you
Everybody
can get.
understands
I'm
what
sorry,
the-
I didn't mean. It's a
is
great
why-
analogy.
No one sees that. No one should see that. That
That's
should
right.
be behind the fence.
And that's why these
somewhere.
are typically, they're where the power comes into the lot, and you may see 30 or 40 or 50 lined up. But they're usually behind a fence because they're, They make noise and stuff. They're not on the lot themselves.
So are you guys
Nice.
more of a B2B or B2C?
B2B, absolutely.
Are you guys more focused on fleet, supporting fleets, or?
Yeah, fleets.
Definitely
100%
fleets.
fleets.
Yeah. But we do have commercial customers that are starting to install of our units
Yeah.
because they know that their employees are going to be driving EVs and they're going to need charging while they're at home. So
Yeah.
we've deployed them at our own facility in Dearborn and also in San Diego so that
Exactly.
we can have, I drive a Mach-E. I appreciate the charging that I drive in.
Nice. How do you like it?
Love, oh my God, love that car. So yeah, I cannot say enough about that. So.
My name's Rob Ward. I'm with Legacy EV. We are a company that focuses on parts distribution and EV certified technician training. This is a Bronco that one of our customers, Gateway Bronco, built. We supported them with their EV program, supplying them with the R&D, parts, and training. Ultimately, our goal is to make sure that any shop that wants to do an EV conversion has the build support they need to get it done, and as a whole that the industry gets the technicians it needs, and that we can stay on top of what the newest technologies are and make sure that anybody that comes to Legacy to buy components, they're getting whatever the best stuff on the market is.
What's one thing you think could bring more women into the battery and electric transportation space? What could we be doing better? Seeing more women in leadership.
Right, having diverse teams up front and doing talks like this, and so the community and people who are looking for jobs see that. I think that's one of the comments I get the most is, we are able to get diverse candidates because they saw women on our leadership team and they.
I'd absolutely agree with that. I think there's this misconception that being involved in EV space is deeply technical and therefore not sexy. I think we should be talking about the different types of roles, the different types of skill sets. We should be looking in different places to recruit, not the traditional routes. We should be using the women as examples, so each of us should have a responsibility to talk about the kind of work that we're doing and the impacts that we're having, and working with other women and what that achieves.
So a pipeline focus.
Absolutely. When we started Circular, Doug and I were very specific that when we were building this company out, we wanted to get the gender diversity 50-50 from the get-go as an ambition. We may not be perfect about it, but at least if that's stated, then when we're out there in the market recruiting, I'm out there, my colleague Ellen out there, we're constantly talking about this is the talent that we're looking for. This is the broad reach that we want to achieve. And we're not doing conscious bias. I think that has a very negative impact on personally against that. But it's about finding the widest talent pool and then recruiting the right talent for that specific role and helping them.
Thank you. How about you, Amy?
I think I'd agree with that. I certainly don't come from a technical background. I come from a liberal arts background. History was my undergrad, right? But at the same time, because of the paths I've chosen, you can still get into EV, even if you're not coming from a technical background. So I think it's back to that, how are you writing the job descriptions? Are you requiring X, Y, Z extremely technical skills? Do you actually need that, or can you teach it? Because from a female, as a woman, maybe we're not as attracted into STEM fields when we're younger, but as we get older and we gain new job experiences, you have the new opportunity to work on a different team or take on a different project. Can you learn those skills elsewhere? Rather than having to maybe have a degree in that, can you learn it, and can you then leverage that into a new position?
Bringing it back to the smart infrastructure side, and automated vehicle technologies, what are some of the policy recommendations that you and your group helped develop and thought were kind of critical to the state to help pursue our future in advanced transportation?
Yeah, there were three overarching areas that our work group came across in terms of kind of weaving together a set of recommendations. The first was to develop an AV vision or strategy for the state of Michigan, primarily through the Office of Future Mobility and Electrification that was formed recently. The second was to bolster our state agencies' resources to improve their bandwidth to help execute on that vision. And then the third was to look at the policy landscape at the state level as well as at the federal level, and to see whether we were the most competitive in enabling and not only deployment of advanced transportation technologies in the state, but to bolster our industries that are located in the state. And I'll talk just a little bit about that third policy pillar because we spent most of our time focused on that. Michigan did an overhaul of their traffic laws back in 2016, and they were meant to enable the deployment of autonomous vehicle and smart infrastructure into the state. Our policy group spent a lot of time going through all the traffic laws, and we realized that in the past year, we still are fairly cutting edge in terms of the legislation that was passed. There wasn't a lot of gaping holes that we needed to fill in terms of enabling autonomous vehicles and smart infrastructure. However, in the meantime, many other states helped close the gap by putting enabling policies into their states. The level of technology has changed, our understanding has changed. People thought there would be tens of millions of personal autonomous vehicles on the road by now. We're finding that maybe commercial vehicles are going to get there soon, and delivery bots. So how do we revisit that? So the key kind of policy recommendations focused on, one, talking with the standard terminology. The way we talked about AVs 5 years ago isn't the way we talk about them now. So just adopting the right words and not creating different language across states and across industry. So referencing things like SAE JD 3016 is the way that they define the levels of automation. Second was to make sure that we had a cohesive policy environment across the local jurisdictions, because you can't program autonomous vehicles for every different city and every different ordinance. It's a tremendous amount of engineering. So you have to kind of take a policy view that says across the state we're going to treat things the same, and then across state lines into other states we want to treat things the same. We also had the benefit of trade associations such as the Alliance for Automotive Innovation put out a 14-point AV policy roadmap at the federal and at the state level. Related to those 14 policies, we were aligned, I think, with 11, and some of the recommendations we had actually were closing the gap on it. And they made a good distinction between what the federal government needs to do and what the state needs to do. Federal government's responsible for the design, construction, and performance of cars, the equipment that goes into cars. State's responsible for licensing of cars and operation of cars. You don't want to have cars that have equipment requirements that differ by state, because you can't then sell the same car into many states. And so just getting aligned with that was a big initiative.
Back in 2011, there was the Leaf, which had a mileage range of 75 per charge. And then that's changed over the years to 250, which is almost norm right now. Almost every EV right now has at least 200 miles range per charge. So that's an important thing. And so is the confidence of people, because there are more chargers, there are more public chargers that are available. So that's the other confidence factor that is enabling people to drive more. The gender difference is still there, where it's mostly male, even until today, which is expected to change in the next few years.
We are collaborators when it comes to technology. I have to say, and again, another plug for Dave Howe in the Department of Energy and the research labs. All of us US-based people, we pay taxes, and our tax dollars go into our federal government. Our federal government has these research labs that are out there for inventive ways. And they have licensed, based on what they've done, their technology to many of the battery companies. And so I'm very happy and proud to say that our tax dollars have been at good work, because they have been a source of technology development and of licensing lithium-ion technology back to battery companies in order to be able to meet our needs. And so I say that if our research labs can do it, and obviously we're always collaborating with startup companies, with universities, keep pushing everybody, keep pushing, because I think the more people we have working in this industry and understand what the problem statement is, then I think we'll have more people providing us solutions for that problem statement, and it's going to lift and continue to lift the technology when it comes to batteries. In that also, and because I come from a vehicle background, I have to say that the OEMs play a huge role in this. They know how their customer base will use their vehicles. They know, based 100 years of how the vehicle operates, and then how do we integrate the battery technology in the vehicle in order to get the whole vehicle, the whole experience to be optimized. Again, most of us in this audience are engineers, and we know we can design in silos and end up with a sub-optimized total part. And so the collaboration that we have with the OEMs, and it's really exciting for me to be back home in the States for 6 years, because I get to collaborate with people who I went to college with, or sometimes I went to high school with. And last week I was at a wedding and I saw somebody from my middle school, and I didn't realize she worked at one of the OEMs. And so it is awesome to have that community of people that you know that can help you to optimize the technology. So it is the third pillar of this, my talk, is around the OEMs, the battery companies, the universities, the laboratories with the DOE, all working together to optimize the technology. Because one thing you can recognize with a battery is there's not one person who knows everything. It takes a community.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you enjoyed the experience at the battery show today. We got to see a lot of different things. We saw wire component makers, we saw electric vehicle drivetrain makers, and as well as the electric vehicle charging stations that really add to the full landscape of the electric vehicle space. So hopefully you enjoyed it as much as I did. And until next time, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe, and look forward to seeing more on Car Talk with Wally.